I'm just looking at the screen.
Tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Temple Israel. I'm Rabbi Michael Walk here on the Bima with my colleague, Cantor Shira Lissick. And we are so happy that you are joining us for Shabbat over Zoom and over StreamSpot. And we want to extend a very special welcome to Dory Braverman, who is here with us in the sanctuary as she will be celebrating her bat mitzvah this morning, together with her parents, Gabby Braverman and Josh Braverman, her sister Zoe, her grandparents, her family, and friends. It's great to have you all with us this morning. Dory will be called to the Torah for the very first time when we read the double portion of Ahraemot and Kedoshim. And as she will teach us about in her Dvar Torah, Ahraemot contains the earliest descriptions of the holiday of Yom Kippur. And the main character in this story is the priest, the Kohen. And we learn that before he could enter the temple to perform the sacrifices and the other rituals, he would bathe, and then he would put on a special linen tunic and turban. And then in the middle of the day, he would again bathe after the first round of sacrifices and put on new clothing for the next part of the day. And we learn from this Torah portion and its focus on the clothing that the priest wears as part of the ritual that we dress for the occasion of religious services. We dress to put us in a prayerful frame of mind. But even though we all know this, we actually debate about what kind of clothing puts us in that prayerful frame of mind. Some people prefer to be formally dressed to mark the specialness of the occasion, while other people think that a more casual approach makes us comfortable while we pray. But whatever your approach happens to be to coming into the temple or to praying from home over Zoom, the one garment that we all share is the talit, the tallis, the prayer shawl. So Dory, I'd like to invite you, together with your parents and your grandparents, Howard and Molly Braverman, to come up to the Bima as they present you with your very own beautiful talit. So Dory, putting on a talit when you pray is one of the new responsibilities that you take on at your bat mitzvah. And I hope that you will use this talit every time you come into Temple Israel and take it with you to Camp Ramah this summer to use as part of daily minyan, of daily prayers. Each of our talitot, if you look around, is different because we choose the designs that we like. But we all have in the corners the tzitzit, the fringes, on the four corners that remind us of God's expectations of us. So Josh and Gabby, would you please recite the first bracha, the first blessing for raising your children in the Torah?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Lagadel Banim LaTorah.
Amen. Now, Dory, would you recite the bracha for putting on a talit?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahatitev b'tzitzit.
Amen. And your grandparents can wrap you in your new talit, a gift from them. And I invite everyone on the bima to recite the Shehecheyanu, the blessing we say, thanking God for giving us the opportunity to do something new, to do something for the first time.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Amen.
Lazman hazeh, lazman hazeh, lazman hazeh, lazman hazeh, hazeh.
Mazel tov, we're off to a good start. Now all of you can go back to your seats as we start the Shacharit service. We turn in our Sidurim, Sidor Lev Shalem, smaller red books for those of you here, to page 147. The Shacharit, the morning service, begins the second paragraph, Shochenad, page 147.
Yesharim titalal uvdivrei tzadikim tirbarach shochenan marom v'kadosh shemo shochenan marom v'kadosh shemo shochenan marom v'kadosh shemo B'fi sharim titalal uvdivrei tzadikim titbarach ובלשון חסידים תתרומם ובקרב קדושים תתקדש ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל שכן חובה כל היצורים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו להודות להלל לשבח לפאר לרומם להדר לברך להלל ולקלס על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות דוד בן ישי עבדך משיחך
Page 148, please rise.
ישתבח שמך לאדמתנו ברכות והודעות מעתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני אל מלך גדול בתשבחות אל ההודעות אדוני נפלאות הבוחר בשירי זמרה מלך מלכי העולמים
Amen.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ביום דברה חירותי ביום נתמחותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחייכון בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בימה במהרו אמן
Bottom of page 149.
La 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 la, 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 la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. La 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 la, 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 la 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 la.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who forms light while creating darkness, who brings harmony while creating all. May be seated, page 150.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or borei choshech, oseh shalom uborei et hakol. Hakol yoducha v'kol yishavchucha v'kol yimoin kadosh k'Adonai. אפס פרסך גואלינו לימות המשיח, ואין דומה לך מושיענו לתחיית המתים.
Page 151, El Adon.
אל אדון על כל המעשים, ברוך ומבורך בפי כל נשמה, גודלו וטובו מלא עולם, דת ותבונה סובבים אותו, המתגאה על חיות הקודש, ונדר בכבוד על המרכבה, זכות ומישור לפני כיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו, טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו, יצרם בדעת, בבינה ובהשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה, נאה זיום בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים במה רצון קונם. פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו, צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא לשמש ויזרח אור, רע והתקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו כל צבע מרום, תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש. וששבים בכל המעשים ביום השביעי עליו. תתברך משה לשבח מעשה ידיך, והמאור אור שעשית, יפרוך הסלע.
Page 153.
תתברך צורנו מגן וגואלנו, בורא קדושים. כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים במעביר הרצון קונם, וכולם פותחים בפיהם בקדושות טהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים, ומפרים ומעריצים, ומקדישים וממליכים, את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, קדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים עליהם עול מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליוצרם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ובנימה קדושה, כולם כחרונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות. כהנים וחיות הקודש, ברעש גדול מלכים לעומת תרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני, ממקום. ברוך מתיתנו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
Amen. To page 154, we gather together the four corners of the Talit as we prepare for the Shema.
והביאנו לשלום ארבע כפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות ארצנו, כי אל פה ישועות אתה וברבקת מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת, להודות לך יחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. והם שמעו את תשמעו צופה שבת. Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
Bottom of page 156.
לדור ודור וקיים ושמו קיים, וחיסון נכון מכתוב אמונתו לעד קיימת. ולבריו חיים וקיימים נאמנים ורבים. אמת שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו ואימותינו, גואלינו גואל אבותינו ואימותינו, יוצרנו תשועתנו, פותינו מצילינו מעולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך, עזרת אבותינו ואימותינו אתה הוא מעולם.
אשרי איש שישמע מצוותיך. Moses, Miriam, and the people Israel joyfully sang this song to you, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, middle of page 158. Please rise.
תהילו ליל היום ברוך ומבורך, משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך באלים, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך Tehilot, Osef ele, Osef ele, Nora Tehilot, Osef ele, Osef ele, Shira Chadasha, Shivchu Geulim, Leshimcha Sfatayam, Yachad Kulam, Hodu ve'imlichu ve'yomeru, Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai Yimloch le'olam va'ed. Tzur Yisrael, kuma bi'ezrat Yisrael, uvtechinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go'aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Amen. Page 159, we begin the Shacharit Amidah together out loud.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elokei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elokei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסרי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב והושיע. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, נשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, למען אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, בחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וכרז זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ כבודו. אז בכל רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנשאים ליום הצרפים, לאומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו, מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי, מתי תמלוך תמלוך בציון, מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד תשכון. בקרוב בימינו, לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש, תתגדל ותתקדש, בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראינה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך, על ידי דוד משיח צדקך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לימוש לעולם ועד. כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Continue praying silently.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל העולם.
Page 167, Kaddish Shalem.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
ועמד יברח חירותי במנהגותי בחיי חונה ומכל נבחרי תורה בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישבח ויפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויזלה ויצלח מלכות שבריחו. לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעמה ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותנו ואותנו זכו ישראל קודם אבוהון וישמעי ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום הרב מן שמיים וחיים אלוהינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
Amen. We continue page 168 with the Torah service. I invite everyone to please rise, and I'm happy to call on Dory Braverman to lead us this morning. I also invite Zoe Braverman and Isis Stam to join us on the bima for the opening of the Ark. Page 168.
Ein kamocha ve'Elohim Adonai, ve'en kema'aseha, malhut malhut kol olamim, umamsheltaha b'ho dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitain, Adonai yivarech Amo v'shalom av ha'rahamim hitev v'irtzon ha'et Zion tivnei homo Yerushalayim tivnei homo Yerushalayim kivha levad batanu Mele Aaron v'nisa Adon Olamim Vahivin Sohara Vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai Ve'afutsu Oiveha Ve'anusu Misaneha Mipaneha Ki Mitzion Tzei Torah Ki Mitzion Tzei Torah Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael Bigdu Shato.
We are the servants of the Holy One, whom we revere, and whose Torah we revere at all times. Not on mortals we rely, nor on angels we depend, but on the God of heaven, the God of truth, whose Torah is truth, whose prophets are true, and who abounds in deeds of goodness and truth. In God do we put our trust, under God's holy, precious name do we offer praise. May it be your will that you open our hearts to your Torah, that you fulfill the desires of our hearts and the hearts of all your people Israel, for goodness, for life, and for peace. And let us say, Amen. I'd like to invite Dory's parents and grandparents to join us on the bima. Dory leads us Be'anara Hates, bottom of page 170.
Be'anara hates Vilish me Kadisha Yakira Ana Amar Tush Behan Be'anara hates Vilish me Kadisha Yakira Ana Amar Tush Behan Yehev Ra'ava Kadama Detiv Teili Bibe Orata Vitashli Mishlaim Delibi Vili Bateholama Yisrael Letavulahaim Vili Shlam Amen.
Josh, would you take the Torah from the ark, please, and pass it lador vador from generation to generation, passing on our beloved traditions from grandparents to parents to Dory. Page 171, Dory leads us in Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlu Adonai Iti, Uneroma Shemo Yakdav.
לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד כי כל בשמיים ובארץ כי כל בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני הממלכה והמנעשה לכל ראש רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לאדום רגליו קדוש הוא רוממו אדוני אלוהינו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו והשתחוו להר קודשו והשתחוו להר קודשו והשתחוו להר קודשו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו.
May be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good morning. It's great to have all of you joining us for services on Zoom and on StreamSpot, and to have Dory Braverman and her family and friends together with us here in the Temple Israel Sanctuary. Our Torah reading this morning is the double portion of Ahraemot and Kiddushim, which can be found in the Eitz Chaim Chumashim on page 687. If you're following along in a different book, our reading this morning will start Leviticus, Vayikra, chapter 17, verse 8. Again, page 687 in the Eitz Chaim Chumash. And when we read a double portion, as we do this year, there are a lot of different topics that are discussed over the course of those two Torah portions. So far, the first few weeks of reading sections in Vayikra and Leviticus have been rather esoteric. They are addressed mostly to Aaron and to his sons, the priests, and dealt extensively with the sacrifices that they were to offer in the ancient temple. While any Jew could contribute sacrifices for different reasons, the actual worship of God was performed only by the priests, and regular Jews could not even approach the altar. It's very different than the egalitarian ethos that we bring to Judaism today. We are left, after reading the opening of Leviticus, the first few parshiot, wondering what it is that God expects of each and every one of us who could not be Kohanim, who could not offer the sacrifices. That changes in today's Torah reading. Chapters 17 through 26 of Leviticus are referred to by scholars as the Holiness Code, because the central idea of these chapters is that the people of Israel, the Jewish people, bear the collective responsibility to seek to achieve holiness. This theme is encapsulated in chapter 19, verses 1 through 2. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the whole Israelite community and say to them, 'You shall be holy, for I, the Lord, your God, am holy.'" We believe that as people, we are created B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God, but that we also have a responsibility to act like God, to imitate God. What's more, holiness is not a vague idea, but according to our Torah portion, is defined by the actions that we take and by the actions that we purposefully do not take. Some of these mitzvot, some of these commandments relate to God, like Shabbat. Other mitzvot, other commandments relate to our relationship with other people. Respect your father and your mother. Now, Holiness Code gets into some very nitty-gritty details. And many readers may be surprised that one of the first topics covered in today's Torah reading is the less than pleasant topic of forbidden sexual unions like incest. And these chapters, although not the most thrilling read, serve as an important reminder that holiness between people is not only based on what we do in public, but perhaps more importantly on how we treat others, those with whom we are the most intimate and most close when no one else is watching. Perhaps more inspirational than this section, however, is the famous line in Leviticus 19:18, when God instructs, "V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha," you shall love your neighbor as yourself. This teaching was first referred to as the Golden Rule in the 1600s by Anglican preachers, and they gave it this name, the Golden Rule, because some form of it, love your neighbor as yourself, can be found in every single religious faith or philosophy across the world. For example, in ancient Rome, Seneca the Younger, a practitioner of Stoicism, taught, "Treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you." In the Islamic Hadith, the Islamic law, you can read the story. A Bedouin came to the Prophet, grabbed the stirrup of his camel, and said, "Messenger of God, teach me something to go to heaven with." And the Prophet responded, "As you would have people do to you, do to them. And what you dislike to be done to you, don't do to them. Now let the stirrup go." Meaning, now I've taught you what to do, go act in accordance with it. For readers of Talmud, this should remind them very much of a story of the Rabbi Hillel, which I will quote in a few moments. Humanist chaplain Greg Epstein of Harvard points out that the golden rule, do unto others, is a concept that essentially no religion misses entirely, but belief in God is not necessary to endorse it. Another atheist, Adam Lee, points out that it is easy to come up with, easy to understand, and easy to apply. And these three things are the hallmarks of a strong and healthy moral system. But although it's such a well-known expression in all of its various forms, it's actually a challenging rule or challenging guidepost to live by. How can you treat someone else as well as you treat yourself? It's more, what if you don't like that person very much? Several commentators have tried to reread the commandment to make it more manageable, to make it more doable. Ibn Ezra, for example, interprets the verse to mean, love for your fellow as what you would love for yourself. He moves it from the realm of action to the realm of thought. Wish the best for everybody else. The commentator Rashbam reads the term your neighbor and limits it to someone who is virtuous. Thus, the requirement to love another only applies to good people, but not to bad people. Perhaps, however, the most well-known rereading of this verse comes from the Talmudic rabbi Hillel, similar to the story from the Islamic tradition. When asked to convert a potential convert to Judaism while standing on one foot, he replied, "That which is hateful to you, do not do to another. That is the entire Torah, and the rest is interpretation. Go and study." He's actually rephrased the commandment and made it somewhat easier, telling you not all the things that you should do, but rather what you should not do. Now, while all of these are valiant efforts to understand this verse, to make it a little bit more manageable, I prefer to see V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and in fact, the entire Holiness Code, the section of Kiddushim, not as a description of the way we are now, but as a permanent aspiration of how we should be. You may hear someone described as holy, but I think that holiness is not a description of someone, but a goal that we all strive for. And Kiddushim serves as a reminder that even as we are happy where we may be, we can constantly seek to improve our relationships to God and our relationships to others. We turn for this reading of Ahraemot and Kedoshim to page 687 in the Chumashim, Leviticus chapter 17, verse 8. We begin in the middle of Ahraemot. Our first Torah reader for this Aliyah will be Marcy Thaler. And for this Aliyah, we call on Terry and Arthur Hart Roth.
יעזור ויגן ויושיע לכל חוסן באופן אומר אמין הכל וגדול ניתנו כבוד לתורה יעמדו טוב עשרה ואלימלך בן שבצי פנחס הכהן ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו ואתם מדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום.
Adonai Barak.
ברוך אדוני וברך לעולם ועד.
Baruch Adonai Barak Olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikohanim v'notalanu et toratam. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Aleichem tamar yish mi beit Israel, v'min hager asher yagur b'tocham, Asher Yaleh Olah Ozavach Ve'apetach Ochel Moed Lo Yivienu Lasot Oto L'Adonai V'nichrat Ha'ish Havu Me'amav V'ish Mibeit Yisrael Umin Hagar B'tocham Asher Yochal Kol Dam V'natati Panai B'nefesh Ha'ochelet Et Adam B'hichrati V'ota B'kerev Amah Kol nefesh habasar badam hi v'ani natati lachem al hamizbeach lechaper al nafshotechem ki kadam hu b'nefesh yichaper al kein amarti libnei Yisrael Kol nefesh mikem lo tachal dam v'hager hagar b'tochechem lo yochal dam.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nota b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher kochech to Marcy and a big Yasher koch to Art and Terry. It's nice to see both of you on screen together. Usually it's one or the other. But you're here for an Aliyah because you are celebrating this week your 36th wedding anniversary. Double chai, a nice number. And we're happy to offer you a blessing on behalf of the Simcha. But could you share with us something that you remember about your wedding that really stuck out to you?
Well, there were a couple things.
First, it was a very, very hot day in Naples and Philadelphia. And luckily, our parents all were alive and celebrated with us.
Friends were there, and our clergy
and we had it in our synagogue that I grew up in. And my mother and mother-in-law were both crowned. So that was very special. And now, after 36 years, we are anticipating becoming grandparents any day. So
that's a good way to celebrate 36 years.
Absolutely. We're any day now we will become grandparents. And I'm sure Arthur's going to tell you about sports things because I know, Rabbi, you like sports that involve my wedding. So I'll let him talk now.
No, this is the only thing I will say about sports. So we had back in the mid 80s a movie called Diner. So I came down the aisle and to meet my beautiful bride-to-be, pulled up her veil and asked her the final diner question, which she got right, and the rest is history.
Rabbi, I'm a very strong person to live here.
We wish you many happy years together, an exciting 36th anniversary coming up. And Cantor Lissick blesses you on behalf of your anniversary.
Thank you.
בעבור שבאו היום להודות לשם קודשו על כל החסד אשר גמל להם מיום חתונתם ומיום שמחת ליבם עד היום הזה הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמרם ויצילם מכל צרה וצוקה ומכל נגע ומחלה וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם עם כל ישראל אחיהם ונאמר אמן לחיים טובים ושלום לחיים טובים ושלום לחיים טובים לחיים טובים ושלום
Mazel Tov, Yasher Kochachem. We continue with the second Aliyah, Leviticus chapter 17, verse 13, page 687. We call on Michael Thalberg.
Yamon Michael bat Aryeh veLeah Sheni.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ish mipnei Yisrael umin hager hagar b'tocham asher yatzot zeik chaya of asher yachel v'shafach et amho v'chisahu be'afar ki nefesh kol basar damo b'nafsho lomar libnei Yisrael dam kol basar lo tochelu ki nefesh kol basar damo hi kol achav icharet v'chol nefesh asher tochal leveha utrefa ba'ezrach u'bager v'chibes begadav v'rachatz b'mayim v'tameh ad ha'erev v'taher v'im lo yikabes Uvsaro lo yirchatz v'nasa avono. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach, Yasher Kochech, Michael. Michael is celebrating her birthday today.
Yay.
And it's nice, you've been in Charlotte just a short time. You already have a makom kavua, a set seat in your house, but also in the sanctuary, which is, you worked very quickly to get that. And so obviously it's been a strange year and a very eventful year for you. Since your last birthday, what is something that you are thankful for?
I'm very thankful for my children who helped sell my house. They cleaned everything out. They sold things. It was just amazing how quickly they managed to do everything. And down in Charlotte, my son and my daughter-in-law, they helped on the other end, getting this apartment, just everything virtually. And so I'm just very grateful. I have to say, though, I'm the one who found the synagogue. So I'm very happy to have this community. I love it.
Well, you took the initiative of that, and we're very glad of it, and we're glad that your children helped you move. I also sold a house this year and could have used their help.
They were good. They were really good.
In honor of your birthday, Cantor Lissick will give you a blessing.
Okay.
Mi sheberach avotinu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotinu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah v'yivarech et Michal bat Aryeh v'Leah bavur shebaom hayom lehodot l'shem kodsho al kol hachesed asher gamal lahem miyom. Oh, wrong one. Shehala hayom lichvor makom v'lichvor haTorah v'lichvor haShabbat. L'shem kodsho al kol hachesed asher gmala miyom hivalda ad hayom hazeh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishmor ota mikol nega u'machala v'yosif la shnot chayim meleim b'riut v'hava shalom v'shalva v'yishlach bracha v'yasacha b'chol ma'aseh yedeha im kol Yisrael acheha v'nomar amin. Yom huledet sameach. Yom huledet sameach.
Yom huledet
sameach.
Mazel
tov uvracha. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Happy birthday,
Thank you.
Michael.
Thank you. Thank you.
We continue with the third Aliyah, Leviticus chapter 18, verse 1, page 688 in the Chumashim. Our reader will be Perry Tannenbaum, and for this Aliyah, we call on Marcy Solomon.
Tamod Aliza Vayikra bat Meir Velea Shlishi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Marcy.
Hi. Baruch atah Adonai. Say, Baruch hu et Adonai hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hambarach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher b'chabanu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber bnei Yisrael v'amarta alehem, ani Adonai Elohechem, b'maaseh eretz Mitzrayim, asher yashavtem ba lo ta'asu, וכמעשה ארץ כנען אשר אני מביא אתכם שם לא תעשו ובחוקותיהם לא תלכו את משפטי תעשו ואת חוקותי תשמרו ללכת בהם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ושמרתם את חוקותי ואת משפטי אשר יעשה אותם האדם וחי בהם. אני אדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei natan v'chochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yasher kochech, Marcy. First of all, Marcy, great to see you here on Zoom. Marcy is celebrating her 80th birthday today, a milestone birthday, and I love seeing that smile on your face, Marcy, because I said to you, yesterday, every time I've spoken to you this year, I just think of pure joy, of happiness, and that seems to be this gift that you have of being able to bring joy and be happy, even in the midst of darkness. And obviously, it's not been an easy year for anyone, but especially not for you going through some medical problems. And you shared that your Hebrew name is very significant, Aliza Me'ira, the joyous giver of light. It's a perfect name for you. You may be turning 80, but that name is only 10 years old. So you have the joy, brings the joy of life of a 10-year-old, hopefully. But how did you come to have that name?
As I was studying Judaism, because my parents were not observant, that when you had an Aliyah, they called you by your Hebrew name, and I didn't have one. So I asked Rabbi Ezrin, could I give myself a Hebrew name? And he said, absolutely. So I asked my friends if they could name one thing about me in one word, what would it be? I thought it would be enthusiastic or something, whatever. And the one thing that kept coming up was joyful. And I was so humbled by it. I just tremendously humbled by it. And so I said, okay. So I started looking. And then everyone said, no, you have to have two names. You have to have another name. So I ended up with Aliza Me'ira, and I have been so happy with it. I feel like it's me.
Marcy, there's a tradition that we give babies Hebrew names, but their aspirations for them, what we hope they will be, the qualities they will inherit from whoever they're named after. But how special that your name is a description of who you are. May you continue to embody that name for many years to come. Cantor Lissick is going to bless you in honor of your 80th birthday.
מי שברך אבותינו, אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, אמותינו שרה רבקה חבליה, הוא יברך את עליזה מאירה, בת מאיר ולאה, שעלתה היום לכבוד המקום, לכבוד התורה ולכבוד השבת. הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור אותה ואת כל משפחתה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיה עם כל ישראל אחיה, ונאמר אמן. יום הולדת שמח, יום הולדת שמח, יום הולדת שמח, מזל טוב וברכה. Happy
Happy birthday,
birthday.
Marcy.
Thank
Yom
you
Huledet
so much.
Sameach. We continue with the Torah reading, page 689, Leviticus chapter 18, verse 6.
Yamod harav Michael Shlomo Shimon ben, I'm gonna learn this.
Hachazan Moshe.
Ben Hachazan Moshe v'Gittel Revi.
I guess I'll take the juicy Aliyah.
Yes, Rabbi Wolf will be our fourth Aliyah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Amvarach.
Baruch Adonai Amvarach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Amvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. איש אל כל שאר בשרו לא תקרבו לגלות ערווה אני אדוני ערוות אביך וערוות אמך לא תגלה אמך היא לא תגלה ערוותן ערוות אשת אביך לא תגלה, ערוות אביך היא, ערוות אחותך בת אביך ובת אמך מולדת בית או מולדת חוץ, לא תגלה ערוותן, ערוות בת בנך או בת ביתך לא תגלה ערוותן, כי ערוותך הינם. ערוות בת אשת אביך מולדת אביך אחותך היא, לא תגלה ערוותן. ערוות אחות אביך לא תגלה, שאר אביך היא. ערוות אחות אמך לא תגלה, שאר אמך היא. ערוות אחי אביך לא תגלה, אל אשתו לא תקרב דודתך היא, דודתך היא. ערוות כלתך לא תגלה, אשת בנך היא לא תגלה ערוותן. ערוות אשת אחיך לא תגלה, ערוות אחיך היא. ערוות אישה וביתה לא תגלה, את בת בנם ואת בת ביתם לא תיקח לגלות ערוותן, שערה הנה זימה היא. אישה אל אחותה לא תיקח לצרור, לגלות ערוותה עליה בחייה. ואל אישה בנידת טומאתה לא תקרב, לגלות ערוותה. ואת אשת עמיתך לא תיתן שרבתך לזרע לטמא בם, ומזרעך לא תיתן להביא למולך ולא תחלל את שם אלוהיך אני אדוני.
Olam nata betochenu baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So, Rabbi Wolk,
Yes,
if
Cantor
you would
Lisick.
allow us the honor of blessing you, today is the anniversary of your bar mitzvah.
You think it's a good Torah portion to have? Yeah, you take it? Excellent. I'm happy to share this bar bat mitzvah portion with Dory this morning.
That's so special to share that today. So, Rabbi Wolk, if you will humor us, not humor us, but what is one memory you have from your bar mitzvah day?
Many memories of my bar mitzvah day. One was I shared with Dory, like today it was going to rain very hard, so my parents made us wake up early in the morning and walk to shul at about 6 a.m. so that we wouldn't get our fancy clothing all wet. So Dory, as I said, you're doing better than that. But it was a great day. It was a culmination of 2 years of working with my father to prepare for that day, and there's skills that I've used professionally and personally and enjoyed using since then. So it was a great experience for me.
Well, we're grateful to your father for giving you such great bima skills as our rabbi today.
I'm happy at that. Thank you.
מי שברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואימותינו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך את הרב מיכאל שמעון בן החזן משה וגיטל שעלה היום לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה ולכבוד השבת הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמור אותו וכל משפחתו וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיו עם כל ישראליך ונאמר אמן. Mazel tov.
Thank you. Dory, as I said to the same bat mitzvah last year who had this portion, if you want the Haftarah, it's always yours. I'm happy to give it to you. For this Aliyah, we call on Dory's grandparents, Howard and Molly Braverman, and Sandy Altschuler, and we continue Leviticus chapter 19, verse 1.
Yom Tu Chamishi.
Baruch Adonai Baruch
Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
asher b'chorbono min kol ha'amim v'noten lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Take a step back while I squeeze in there. Amen. V'yetzachar lo tishkab mishkavei isha toeva hi uv'chol b'ma lo titen shavtecha l'tamava v'isha lo ta'amod lifnei b'ma l'riva tevel hu al titamu v'chol ele ki v'chol ele nidmeu hagoyim asher ani mishaleach mipneichem v'tidma haaretz v'avkor amona aleha v'taki haaretz et Yoshveha, Ushmartem atem, et chukotai v'et mishpatai v'lo tasu, mikol toivot ha'ele, ha'ezrach v'hager hagar b'tochechem, ki et kol toivot ha'el, asu asher aretz asher lifnechem, v'tidma ha'aretz, v'lo taki aretz etchem, et amachem ota kasher ka'a, et hagoy asher lifnechem, Ki chol asher yaseh mikol toivot ha'eleh v'nichretu hanefashot asod mikerev amam ushmartem mishmarti levilti asod mechukot ha'toivot asher nasu lifnechem v'lo tetamu b'hem ani Adonai Elohechem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher Natalie Berkat Emet B'chayei Olam B'tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Mazel tov and Yasher Koch to all of Dory's grandparents. It's great to have you with us this morning. You can give Dory a big hug. She looks like she's looking for it. We continue with the 6th Aliyah, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 1, the beginning of the portion of Kedoshim. For this Aliyah, we call on Dory's mother, Gabby Braverman.
Tamo tzipora v'sara rivka chamishi shishi.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai Moshe lemor, daber al kol hadat b'nei Yisrael, v'amarta alehem kedoshim tiyu, ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem, yishimo b'aviv tira'u v'shabtotai tishmoru, ani Adonai Elohechem.
Baruch Adonai Baruch. Baruch atah Adonai. Wait, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam netavich techenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Gabby, Asher Kochech, Mazel Tov. It's hard to be up there in the spotlight, isn't it?
I forgot.
It happens to all of us. For the 7th Aliyah, you can sit down back there. We turn to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 4, and we call on Dory's father, Josh Braverman.
Yamod Yaakov Shia ben Chaim Eliezer Shvi.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. Al tifnu el ha'elilim Elohei masecha lo tasu lachem. Ani Adonai Elohechem. V'chi tizbechu zev hashlamim Adonai l'rtzochem tizbechu. V'yom zivchachem yachel macharat. V'notar ad yom hashlishi ba'esh yisarev. Ve'im hecho yachel b'yom hashlishi. Pigulhu lo yeratzeh. B'chlav avono yisa, Yekodesh Adonai chilel v'nichreta, hanefesh ha'hi me'ameha, u'b'kutzrechem, eketzir artzechem, lo techaleh, te'atzarcha liktzor, v'lekekitzecha lo telaket, tolo telaket, v'charmecha lo tolel, u'ferek karmecha lo telaket, laniv lager tazov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem, lo tignovu, lo techachashu, lo tishakru, ish ba'amito, lo tishavu b'shmi, la shaker v'chilalta, Eshem Elohecha, ani Adonai, lo tashokerecha v'lo tigzol, lo talin, pulat sachir, idcha ad boker, lo tekalel cheresh, v'lifnei iver, lo titen mikshol, v'yareta Elohecha, ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koch, Josh, and Mazel Tov. Thank you. And if you could grab a cover and just rest it on the Torah for a minute. We now pray on behalf of those who are ill, those in our lives in need of physical and spiritual well-being. Included in our prayers today, we think of Chana Miriam bat Rivka, Avram Mordechai ben Fega, Tamar bat Rachel Yehuda, Rav Yaakov Chai ben Hadassah, Shimon ben Yaakov Mordechai ben Naomi, Devorah bat Sarah, Hershel Yehoshua ben Malka, Perel bat Rezel, Dov ben Ita, Shmuel Yaakov ben Kalia Ari, Devorah Rachel, Malka bat Sarah, Leib Yisrael ben Sipora, Aliza Meira bat Leah, Sivya bat Chana, Yudit bat Miriam, Meira Bracha bat Chana, Sipora bat Chasha, Fegla bat Chasha, Arya ben Malka, Rachel bat Ruth, Harav Moshe Al-Chanan ben Harav Abraham Halevi, Kalman Pinchas ben Moshe ve'eta, Sarah bat Chaya, Chanoch Yitzchak ben Sarah, Sarah bat Shendel, Benjamin Noah, Ever Yitzchak, Yosef ben Miriam, Shiri Ruth Batya bat Yaakov Yerushalayim, Cyril ben Moshe Kalman, Miriam Sivya bat Aaron Betova, Chava Charna bat Zev Dov, Leah bat Svi Zisula, Howard and Beverly Kaufman, Elijah Avila, Jordana Faith Ram, Mabel Tannenbaum, Kathy Berlin, Maxine Albaum, Sandra Harrell, Don Roth, and Philip LaMancha. Now take a moment to recite the names of anyone else you'd like to pray for this morning. Misha Berach, the prayer for healing.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
A prayer for healthcare workers. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you for honoring God and caring for God's creation. May God protect and save you from COVID-19 and all other illness, and send blessing and success to the work of your hands, along with all others who are doing their part to ease suffering and save lives. May God bless you every time you rise up from your bed, walk out of your home, and go to work. And may you return to your loved ones each and every day in full health, and let us say Amen. Please rise for the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ותרומה וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי קודשה בריחו לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא וימרו Amen.
May be seated. We turn ahead to the Maftir Aliyah, page 704, Leviticus chapter 20, verse 25. And I am very happy to call to the Torah for the very first time, your first Aliyah, our bat mitzvah of the day, Dory Braverman. Why don't you go stand with her?
Tamot habachura bat mitzvah devash bat Yaakov shia v'tzipora maftir. Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
V'hivdaltem bein habehema hatahora lat mea uvein ha'ov hatame latahor velo teshaklu et nashetem babehema uva'ov uvahol asher termos hatama asher hivdaltem letame betem li Kedoshim ki kadosh ani Adonai ve'avdiel etem min ha'amim lihir li v'ish o isha ki hi'evahim o yevdonim o yumatu ba'even yirgenu otam demehem bam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natalanu et Torato v'hei olam natah b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Pofei Dory, great job. You guys can step back for a moment. We lift and dress the Torah. For the honors of Hagba and Galila, we call on Dan Ruda, Toby Ruda, and Valerie Braverman. Please join us on the bima. And I invite everyone to please rise. You've done this before, I'm guessing? You've done this before, I'm guessing? Once or twice?
וזאת התורה שעשה משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל ביד משה.
Past president, you better not. You may be seated. Tori, I'm now happy to invite you to share your Dvar Torah, your words of Torah, and to teach us about your Torah portion this morning.
Shabbat shalom to everybody on Zoom and to everybody with me in the temple. Thank you for coming to my bat mitzvah. The Torah portions that we read today are Ahraemot and Kedoshim, which are in the book of Leviticus. Shabbat shalom to everybody on Zoom and to everybody with me in the temple. Thank you for coming to my bat mitzvah. The Torah portions that we read today are Ahraemot and Kedoshim, which are in the book of Leviticus. Ahraemot starts with the description of a holiday that we are very familiar with, Yom Kippur. Even though we all celebrate Yom Kippur by fasting and spending a lot of time in the temple, Yom Kippur looked very different in my Torah portion. One ritual that I found interesting was the ritual of the scapegoat. The ritual took place when Aaron the priest chose a goat, stood up in the temple, put his hands on it, and confessed to the sins of everybody in the nation. He then sent the goat into the wilderness, and this symbolized people giving up their sins of the past year so that they could start fresh. This is similar to a ritual that we do today on Rosh Hashanah called Tashlik. We throw bread into flowing water to symbolize that we are throwing away our sins and want to be able to start fresh. The two rituals are similar because it is something to actually do to symbolize getting rid of your sins instead of just thinking about it or talking about it. I learned from these two practices that sometimes saying sorry doesn't cut it. You have to do more if you have done something wrong. Recently, someone taught me that if you need to say sorry to someone or thank them for something, you say specifically what it is for, not just sorry or thank you. If you are not specific, then it does not mean anything. When someone says sorry for something specific that they have done, they have to then put that apology into actions and show that they actually regret. The Rabbi Maimonides, who lived in the 1100s, taught that there's one important last step to saying sorry or making amends. You know that you meant what you said when you act differently if you face the same situation again. I know that one time I had to apologize was when I kept something behind my friend's back, even though I knew it would hurt her either way. It took her a long time to forgive me, but I said sorry so many times and put it into actions by making sure to always tell her the important things that she needs to know. Building that trust after making a mistake helps strengthen our friendship. Even though we only have one day a year that is really focused on saying sorry, if you have done something wrong, you say sorry right away, then you don't have to wait to say sorry on Yom Kippur. Now I want to thank everybody that has helped me reach this day. I want to thank Rabbi Wolf and Cantor Lissick for all the lessons and meetings over Zoom. It definitely was hard, but we got through it. Thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, for the tallest. Thank you, Grandma Sandy, for being there to help me with my baking skills. Thank you, Zoe, Sammy, and Allie, for always being there to have fun. Whether we are just talking or late night baking, we always have fun. Steph, thanks for pushing me to be the best self I can be every day. Thank you, Mom, for being there for my girl problems or just anything. You were always there to support me. Dad, thank you for making me branch out of my comfort zone to try new things and always support it. And of course, your dad jokes always make me laugh. I love you both with all my heart. Thank you so much for celebrating with me today.
Beautiful, Dory, thank you. And nothing with any doubt that you meant all of those words that you said about the important people in your life. We continue with the Haftarah for Ahraemot and Kedoshim, which Dory will chant. We turn to page 706. The Haftarah comes from the prophet Amos, chapter 9, page 706 in the Eitz Chaim Chumashim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'harbanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'harbanu V'im tovim v'ratzah b'divreihem ha'ne'amarim ba'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah u'Moshe ado u'Yisrael amo u'b'nvi'ei ha'emet b'tzedek. Hello, Hivnei Kushim Atem Li B'nei Yisrael Ne'um Adonai. Hello, at Yisrael. Heleiti me'eretz Mitzrayim Uvlishti mikavtor ve'aram mikir. Hinei Einei Adonai Elohim B'mamlaha ha'ta'ah V'hishmadati ota me'al pnei ha'adama efes Ki lo hashmid ashmid et beit Yaakov ne'um Adonai ki hinei Anohim mitzaveh v'hani oti b'ho hagoim et beit Yisrael ka'asher yinoah ba'vara v'lo yipol teror aretz ba'erev yom utuv kol hata'ayamim ha'omrim lo tagish v'takdim ba'denu hara'ah ba'yom hahu akim et sukkah David hanofele ve'gardarti et pirtehet ha'risota v'agim uvniti hakimei olam le'man Yeshu et sheri Adon b'ho hagoyim asher nikra shemi Elohim ne'um Adonai osei zot hinei yamim ba'im ne'um Adonai benigash horesh b'hoter v'dorah anavim b'mosha Hazara v'hitifu ha'harim asis hagvaot tit mogagna v'shavti et shavut ami Yisrael uvanu erim neshamot ve'ashavu v'natu Aharim v'shatu et yenam ve'asu ganot ve'aklu et prihem. Untantim alad mata velo yinachu od me alad mata asher natati lahem amaronai Elohecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol haolamim tzadik b'ho hadarot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'yoseh hamdaber u'mkayem shekol devara emet b'tzedek ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devarecha v'darva ehad mivarehad Ahar yashuv rekam, ki omelech ne'eman, v'rahaman atah, baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Hu Barishmo.
ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav.
Amen.
Rahem al Zion, ki hi beit hayenu, v'lavat luvet nefesh toshia, b'mheira ve'amenu, baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Hu Barishmo.
mesamei Zion b'vaneha.
Amen.
Samheinu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Eliyahu hanavi avdeha v'mahut Beit David Mishiheha b'mheira yavo v'agel libeinu al kitalo yeshev zar v'lo yinhalu eharim ekevado ki v'shem kochaha neshbeit lo shelo yibat nera le'olam ba'ed baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Hu Barishmo.
Magen David
Amen.
Al HaTorah Ve'al Havodah Ve'al Hivanim Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shanatata Lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdusha Ve'limnuha Lahabed Utifaret Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Einaknu Modim La Ha'omrim Ota Yitbarah Shimha Bifi Kol Hatimei Le'olam Ba'ed Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Hu Barishmo.
Mikadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Dory, great job. Yasher Kochech. I'd like to invite Gabby and Josh to join their daughter on the bima. Come on up. You can face towards me, Dory. Dory, Mazel Tov on celebrating your Bat Mitzvah today here at Temple Israel and Yasher Kochech. Well done for leading us in Kabbalat Shabbat last night, at services today, for reading Torah and Haftarah, and for sharing your own words of Torah, your own wisdom. It really was a beautiful message in your speech. I know that you have been counting down for the last few weeks, and that you periodically remind your parents, you know, I'm almost an adult. So now, after doing all that, Dory, you are officially an adult in the eyes of the Jewish community. You hear that, Mom and Dad? Mazel Tov as well to your parents, Josh and Gabby, to your sister Zoe, to your grandparents, Howard and Molly Braverman and Sandy Altschuler, and to all of your friends and family who are with us today in the sanctuary and joining us virtually. Dory, it's been a pleasure to work with you over the past few months because of your serious demeanor and your positive attitude. We've met over Zoom from our respective houses, 4:30, and you have a really good sense of humor because our meetings are at 4:30, around the time when my kids come home from school, so they usually interrupt us while we're working on Zoom, and you take that in stride. I think I've told you the story that whenever I tell my 4.5-year-old, shh, I'm working with Dory right now, she doesn't believe it because to her, Dory is a blue fish, not a person. So if she's watching, I'm glad she can see that Dory is in fact a very accomplished person, not a blue fish. Your Hebrew name is also really a very special name. And your parents shared with me that your older sister Zoe chose your Hebrew name, Devash, or honey, because she thought that you were a sweet baby. Now, I think she's right. I think you're very sweet. Zoe, do you still think so? Sometimes. She keeps the name no matter what you think. I asked our youth director, Alan Jonathan, for some gossip about you. Here's the juicy stuff. He shared with me that in class at TIRS, you ask just the right blend of serious and hypothetical questions and share random stories that at first don't appear related to anything, but somehow always by the end manage to tie into the topic. Now, while at the same time as you being a serious person with a good sense of humor, you also have the tendency and the talents to get your friends, in his words, to go full-blown meshugana. You know how to wind them up. He said that I should ask you about the 8-hour car trip to Nashville with Kadima. Any stories you'd like to share?
It was just a really fun time. We all just play games and sing songs and stuff.
Those car trips are the best. God willing, you're able to take many more when Kadima and then USY resume in person. Most admirable, Dory, however, is the way that you have grown in this difficult year leading up to your bat mitzvah. You switched to a new middle school in the middle of this and made new friends. Your tennis game has gotten stronger and your confidence has grown. The Jewish community, I'm glad to observe, is a comfortable place for you already, as you rarely miss a youth group event and you're part of our Kadima General Leadership Council. I've loved seeing your excitement about going to Camp Ramah Darom, where you will spend your 3rd summer this year. We know it was supposed to be the 4th, so have to make up for lost time this year. You come home speaking Hebrew to your parents like they're supposed to have any idea what you are talking about. For those of you who are not familiar, there is something called Camp Ramah Hebrew, all of the words that are used at Camp Ramah. Where do you eat at camp?
The Chadar
Ochel.
Yeah.
Right. Is cleaning up the bunk still nikayon?
Yeah.
There we go. I'm a little bit rusty on that also. Your parents remember how you stepped on the bus the first year, not knowing anybody, but have never looked back and have made Camp Ramah your home. And I'm really happy on behalf of Camp Ramah Darom to present you with this pocket-sized Sidor Sim Shalom, the Sidor that is used at camp. I'm going to share with you the letter that the camp sent with it. Dear Dory, your entire Ramah Darom family is so proud of you today as you become a majority member of the Jewish community. It is our hope and prayer that as you grow in the observance of mitzvot, the acquisition of Torah, and the performance of ma'asim tovim, of good deeds, that you will become an active leader in the Jewish community, not only for today, but for the future as well. Mazel tov on reaching this milestone. At Ramah Darom, we start each day with shacharit, the opportunity to begin the day with reflection and personal and communal interaction with God. We hope that this Sidor, which is your gift from Ramah Darom, will become part of your daily morning routine. Once again, Mazel Tov to you, your entire family, and to the entire congregation. Your commitment is an inspiration to us as it bodes well for the Jewish people, for the future of this community, and for the future of the entire Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom from Elise Lipoff, Mayor, the President, Anna Serviansky, the Camp Director, and Dr. Audra Kaplan, the Associate Camp Director. And special note from Audra, dear Dory, Mazel Tov on your Bat Mitzvah. We are all so proud of your hard work and your preparations and are thrilled that Ramah Darom is a part of your Jewish journey. I'm excited to see you at camp. Enjoy your special day, from Audra. Now, Dory, you have 2 Sidurim of your own now. You have the one that you've used today from Temple Israel, the Sidor that we use, and you have the Sidor from Ramah. And the prayers are pretty much the same, a few minor differences between them. But there's something really special about having a pocket-sized Sidor. You can take it with you anywhere. Traditionally, we might keep these in our talis bag, and I hope that together with your talit, which your grandparents presented you, you carry this with you wherever you find yourself. And of course, like we do on USY trips in Ramah, you personalize it, you make it your own, you decorate the cover, stickers, markers, whatever you want, just like you did to your Sidor over there. Now that you've finished your Bat Mitzvah training, Cantor and I hope that you incorporate Judaism into your life wherever it is that you go. Now in the next few years through Kadima and through Ramah, but hopefully after that by USY as well, and then Hillel on campus. Of course, Temple Israel, your congregational home. But wherever you are, we hope that your Jewish experience, as it has been so far, should be one that adds to your confidence and helps you develop as the unique individual, as the person that you are. We're very happy to wish you Mazal Tov this morning, Dory, and very proud of you. And Cantor Lissick is now going to bless you with the Berkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing, after which we sing Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov. When we start Siman Tov U'Mazel Tov, that's the signal for everyone out there to toss your candies, showering Dory with sweetness. I suggest lofting them up over the plexiglass.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha ken yehi ratzon Ya'er Adonai panav ilecha bichuneka ken yehi ratzon May God bless you and protect you. May God show you favor and be gracious unto you. May God show you kindness and grant you peace. And grant you peace. Yisa Adonai panav ilecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Ken yehi ratzon, ken yehi ratzon, ken yehi ratzon, ken yehi ratzon. Siman tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov u'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov u'siman tov, siman tov u'mazel tov u'mazel tov u'siman tov. Yehelanu, 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 u'lecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, u'lecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, u'lecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, u'lecho Yisrael. Mazel tov, Dory. If you weren't an adult before, you officially now are, having survived the candy throw and thrown it right back at them. Nice job. You can sit down for a minute. You can clap if you want. We turn back to our prayer book, Siddur Lev Shalem, to page 177 in the middle of the page. Prayer for our country, the United States of America. I call on Dory's friends, Sammy and Allie Wells, to lead us. Come on up to Dory's side. Page 177, the middle of the page. Please rise.
Our God and God of our ancestors, with mercy accept our prayer on behalf of our country and its government. Pour out your blessing upon this land, upon its inhabitants, upon its leaders, its judges, officers, and officials, who faithfully devote themselves to the needs of the public. Help them understand the rules of justice you have decreed, so that peace and security, happiness and freedom will never depart from our land.
Adonai, God whose spirit is in all creatures, we pray that your spirit be awakened within all the inhabitants of our land. Uproot from our hearts hatred and malice, jealousy and strife. Plant love and companionship, peace and friendship among the many peoples and faiths who dwell in our nation. Grant us the knowledge to judge justly, the wisdom to act with compassion, and the understanding and courage to root out poverty from our land. May it be your will that our land be a blessing to all who dwell on earth, and may you cause all peoples to dwell in friendship and freedom. Speedily fulfill the vision of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. For all of them, from the least of them to the greatest, shall know me, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. Yashar Koach. Avinu Shabashamayim, stronghold and redeemer of the people Israel, bless the state of Israel, that it may be the beginning of our redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. V'natata shalom ba'aretz, b'simchat olam liyoshveha. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen. May be seated, page 181. We continue with the Ashrei.
Ashrei Yoshevet Echad, Yalalu Chasel, Tila Tornai Rabir Pivi Barech Obas Hashem Koshol Leolam Vaed Vanachnu Nevarech Yamei Atav Yad Olam Hallelujah.
Page 183, we rise for the conclusion of the Torah service. I call on Dory's uncle and aunt, Mark Braverman and Robin Baum, to open the ark. And Josh, if you would hand the Torah around. Page 183, please rise. Dory, your dad's going to hand you the Torah. Please come over here. There's a string over there. Open it up.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, Kiniskav Shemo Lavado.
Odo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren li'amo, tila lecho chasida, livnei Yisrael am kerovo.
Hallelujah. Mizmor leDavid, Avul Adonai b'nei Elim, Avul Adonai kavod va'oz, Avul Adonai kevod shemo yishtachavu, L'Adonai behadrat kodesh, Kol Adonai l'mayim melech kavod hirim, Adonai l'mayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koach, Kol Adonai behadar, Kol Adonai shover arazim, Vayishaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, Vayarkinim k'mo egel levanon v'siryon k'mo v'nereimim, Kol Adonai chosev lavotesh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yicholel hayalot, Vayechesof yarot uvehechalo kulo merkavod, Adonai lamavuya, Shavayishev Adonai, Melech leolam, Adonai oz le'amo yitin, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom.
Page 184.
I've given you a precious inheritance. Do not forsake my teaching. It is a tree of life for those who grasp it, and all who hold on to it are blessed. Its ways are pleasant, and its paths are peace. Turn us towards you, Adonai, and we will return to you. Make our days seem fresh as they once were. Et haim hi lama haziki ba betam heha meushar darheha darhei noam v'hol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai eleha v'nashuva Hadesh, Hadesh Yameinu, Hadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
We continue page 184, the middle of the page, the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadash, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma, Divrach Chidutei, V'yamnich Malchutei, V'chayechon, V'yimechon, V'chayetro Beit Yisrael, V'galau V'zman Kariv, V'yimru Amen. Yesh Shemei Rabbah mevorach, Le'olam Olam Me'omaya, Yiparach Slavi Salat Menikucha, Brihu, Liye, Lamin Klaberata, Vishirata, Tishbrata, Menachamata, Tamiran de Halma, Vimeru.
Amen. Page 185. Dory and Cantor Lissick lead us in the Musaf Amidah. Please rise.
Berkat Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezoher Haseyavod, Umevi Goeli Vevnehem, Naman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hoser Ufoked Umashia Umogain, Adonai, Magen Avraham, Uvoked Sarah, Atagi Bor Le'olam Adonai, Mehaye Metin Atarav L'Moshiach, Mehakel Hayim Behesed, Mehaye Metin Be'Rahamim Ramim, So Noflim Be'Rahe Holim, Umatir Atarim, Umekayem Emunato, Leave Shane afar, Miha Malha Ba'agibiro, Umido Mela, Melech Memi, Umekayem, Umat Mia Yeshua, Benamon Atala Hayot Metim, Baruch Hata Adonai, Mehaye HaMetim.
Na'itzecha v'na'tishcha kesotziach sarfei kodesh hamakdishim shimcha b'kodesh kakatuv ayad nevi'echa v'kara Zeviamar Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzevaot Meloch ol haaretz Kevodo Kevodo maleh olam Mesharotam shoalim zeh lazeh Hayim mekom kevodo liumatam Baruch yomeru Baruch kevod Adonai Nimkomo hu yifen berachamim V'achonam b'mechadim shemo Erev v'boker b'chol yom tamid Pa'amayim b'ahava Shema omrim Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshienu Ve'hu Yashmienu Berachamav Shenit Berachamav Shenit Lehinei Kochai Ve'hu Yashmienu Berachamav Shenit Berachamav Shenit Lehinei Kochai Lior Lachem Le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד לך.
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
ledor vador,
ledor vador,
ledor vador, nagid galecha. Ulenetza netzahim kedusha naqdish, v'shiheha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamesh leolam va'ed Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador. Ledor vador.
Dor nagigalecha. Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador.
Ledor vador nagigalecha. Ki melech gadol gadol v'kadosh 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 ata. Baruch ata Adonai ha'el kadosh.
Amen. Continue praying silently.
Ose shalom bimromav. Ose shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu.
Page 203, Kaddish Shalem.
יתקדל ויתקדל שמי רבה. ביומא דיברה חילותי במנוחתי בריחון ובמכון ובחתור בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך. לעולם ולעולם בהמיה. יתברך, יתברך, וישבח ויבהר ויתרומם מנעשה ויתזר ויצלב ויצלח שמי קודשה בריחו. לעילם מכל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן מעמה ואמרו אמן. תתגבר צאן ובצאן דוכי ישראל קדם אבוני בשמי ואמרו אמן. יהי שם הרב מן שמי וחמלין וערכו ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו וערכו ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Amen. May be seated, page 204, Ein Kelohenu.
Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkenu, Ein Kemoshienu, Michelohenu, Michadonenu, Michemalkenu, Michemoshienu. Noda l'Elohenu, Noda l'Adonenu, Noda l'Malkenu, Noda l'Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Atahu Shektiru Avotenu, Lefanecha Eketoret Hasamim.
Page 205, please rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo samchakenu kahem, v'goralenu kechohamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu noten shamayim v'yoser haaretz, ומושבי קרוב בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת זו, בגבי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום להשיבותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינות. כי המלכות שלך יולמת ימלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
May be seated. We turn to page 207 for the Mourner's Kaddish. This Shabbat, we mark the yortzites of Robert Zeisler, Samuel Hellman, Harry Morris Green, Adele Grossman, Morris Gilbert, Celia Krasno, Nathaniel Roberts, David Heyman, Milton Shoemaker, Milton Robert Olshen, Hugo Rosenberger, Leza Lichten, E. Jerry Fisher, Betty Lipschitz, Ruth Scharf, Stuart Kornstein, Roberta Farb Kapeloff, Emmanuel Pizarker, Abram Pransky, Charles Barnes, Lee Hopmeyer, Phoebe Hall, Stephen Berger, Molly Fabricant, Celia Heskins, Dorothy Polyakoff, Melvin Berman, Brad Gray, Lundy Levine Hardis, Bernard Goodman, Marion Namkin, and Sarah Clears. We also extend condolences to families in the midst of Shloshim following the death of loved ones, to Janice Weiner for the passing of her mother, Anna Pointer, to Mary Jean Kushner for the passing of her husband, Howard Kushner, and to Craig Maddens for the passing of his mother, Audrey Maddens. Page 207, I invite those in mourning or marking a yortzeit to rise and join me in the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yalmad yivera kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevorach leolam u'lomei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiran v'yalma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. You may be seated. I am happy to call on guest gift giver this Shabbat, former president of Temple Israel and family friend of Dory's, Dan Ruda, to present Dory with some gifts on behalf of the congregation. Put that Sidor in there for you as well.
Surprise. Let's see here. Somewhere down in this
Dan,
bag.
pull a microphone towards you.
Somewhere down in the bag. Pull the microphone toward me. Normally people don't have a hard time hearing me. Dory. I wish I could stand over there with you, by the way. I was so excited when the president called me to offer me this honor. You, your mom, Zoe, and your whole family, actually, have always meant more to Toby and I than just friends. We love you, and we're so proud of you. Great leaders always show their quality through the examples that they set. And we are blessed here at Temple Israel to have so many great leaders amongst us. Today, you've shown us all by participating and leading in services that you too have the qualities to be that. The qualities that you have, they can be a great benefit to others. Not the least of which I will note is your great sense of humor. Don't ever lose that one. But it's not today that I'd like to focus on. It's tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, and the day and the years after that. Just as I told Jonathan and Carly when I was standing here before them in this moment, my message to you is be a participant, be a giver, be a doer, be a leader. Find something that you love, something that you feel passionate about, and really become a part of it. Don't be a bystander in your life or your community. Trust me, the rewards outweigh the effort that it'll take every single time. Trust me, you know me, I wouldn't lie to you. I might throw you in the pool, but I wouldn't lie to you. So with that, though, our community would like to reach out to you, Dory Braverman, with their wishes for continued success and mazel tov. And so it is my pleasure on behalf of the women, I'm not going to pull each one out, by the way. They're all here in this bag. But from the women of Temple Israel, a set of Shabbat candle holders. From the Temple Israel Youth Group, a Havdalah candle. From Hebrew High, a logoed and insulated beverage cup. From Men's Club, an Eitz Chaim travel edition with a personal bookplate. From the Temple Israel Board of Trustees, an I Am Jewish book. And last but certainly not least, this is the one that says you don't have to get up tomorrow morning. From Temple Israel Clergy, a beautiful certificate in English and Hebrew of your bat mitzvah. And again, like I said, that's the one that says, I don't have to get up tomorrow morning. I can sleep in no matter what they try to do. Dory, I'm so proud of you. I know that Toby feels the same way. You've done a wonderful, wonderful leading of our services this morning.
Thank you.
I look forward to all of the wonderful accomplishments that you will have in the rest of your life. Mazel tov. This keeper just doesn't want to stay on. Good thing I have another one. So, that's it for me.
Thank you, Dan. Double kippahs. Is that like double masking right now?
I'm sorry?
Double kippahs. Is that like double masking right now?
It's kind of like, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
But with that, I'd like to invite Theresa Brenner, our current president, to come up and make the congregational announcements. You're welcome to have a seat, actually.
Thank you, Dan. Dan is not only a former past president, but recently last year became an honorary life president. So we're delighted to have him back on the Bima with us. Shabbat Shalom, Temple Israel family. Thank you, Rabbi Walk and Cantor Lissig for leading us in services, Sean Sievert for your audiovisual support, and Ariel Di Donato for serving as Zoom Gabbai. A warm welcome to Dory Braverman and her parents, Josh Braverman and Gabby Braverman, and all her family and friends. Dory, you led us so beautifully in services this morning, and we look forward to your participation for many years to come. Next week, we will celebrate the bat mitzvah of Natalie Berman, daughter of David and Alexa Berman, and Lucy Silverstein, daughter of Tammy Silverstein and Scott Silverstein. Lucy and Natalie will participate in Friday evening services. Natalie will lead us Saturday morning at 9:30, and Lucy will lead us Saturday evening at 5:30. Please join Natalie and Lucy and their families in celebrating their simchas. Yasher Koah to each of this morning's Aliyot honorees, Torah and Haftorah readers, Marcy Thaler, Perry Tannenbaum, Senior Rabbi Michael Walk, Dory Braverman, Terry and Art Roth, Michael Thalberg, Marcia Solomon, Senior Rabbi Michael Walk, Harold and Molly Braverman and Sandy Altschuler, grandparents to the bat mitzvah, Gabby Braverman, Josh Braverman, and Dory Braverman. We look forward to welcoming 50 pre-registered congregants in person for Shabbat services and Shavuot services in May and the first weekend in June, and we are all so immensely pleased to announce we will be holding in person Sunday morning minyan at 9 a.m. outside at Temple Israel. All services will continue to be held virtually, but please join us in person. This week, we have many activities going on. Tomorrow, Social Club meets at 1 for an event with Jason Stujinki, and Sisterhood is hosting Rosh Chodesh with Cantor Lissick at 2:30 p.m. Men's Club, Torah Tots, and others have many activities planned. After Shabbat, please see our website, Kol Israel, and your weekly email for complete information about our in-person services, the Shabbat Zoom link, the Stream Spot box, and upcoming events, including youth events with Alan Jonathan and Dory Braverman. We offer many opportunities for services, learning, community, and friendship. Please join us. Shabbat Shalom, Temple Israel family. And again, Mazel Tov, Dory, to you and your family and friends.
Thank you, Theresa. I'm happy to call on Dory's mother, Gabby Braverman, up to the bima to share some words with her daughter. And Dory, why don't you join your mom at the podium?
Hi, Dory. It seems like just yesterday that I was sitting with you on my lap at a Tot Shabbat. Today, as you became a bat mitzvah, an adult in Jewish life, I wanted to say just how proud I am of you. I was honestly a little shocked that there was no need on my part to have to remind you to practice or write your speech. You knew you wanted to do well and what it would take to accomplish this goal. I am so impressed with how seriously you took on the responsibility of learning to lead a Shabbat service and your dedication to prepare for this special day. I'm so thrilled that you, like your big sister, have a love of Judaism, that you're involved in the temple youth group that you enjoy, and are beyond excited again to attend your Jewish summer camp and belt out all the Hebrew songs at Camp Berman with your friends. I know that you feel you have a connection with God and a wonderful Jewish community that will always support and guide you. And as a parent, I take great comfort in this. Temple Israel, JCC, Shalom Park has and always will be a second home to you. I can't wait to see what great accomplishments you'll undertake in the future. A special thank you so very much to Rabbi Wolf, Cantor Lissick, Ariel DiDonato, CJP, and the whole Temple Israel Religious School clergy and staff for helping me raise a child who is proud to be Jewish in such a wonderful community. Thank you to all the friends and family who came today via Zoom or in person to celebrate with us today. It means a lot to us. Dory, you did a terrific job. You are a bright light in this world, and I love you very much.
Thank you too.
Thank you, Deb. We conclude our Shabbat service this morning on page 211 with Adon Olam.
Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa, B'chefetzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'yacharei Kichlot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nor Adon Olam, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'et Nasa, B'chefetzo Kol, Hazai Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'yado Hafkid Ruchi, V'yeti Shan V'yair Adon Olam, V'yim Ruchi Geviati, Adonai Li V'lo Adon Olam.
Please rise for Kiddush. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. B'nei v'b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. על כן ברך אדוני משפט ויקדשהו, סברים ארנן ורבנן ורבותיי. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן.
L'chaim. Tzvi, Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Mazel tov. If you're on Zoom, feel free to unmute yourself and shout Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, Shabbat Shalom.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Shabbat shalom.